Yo, what's good, guys? It's Austin here, or Luna. So today's story time, in my opinion, is a pretty good one. I hope you guys enjoy it. Leave a like on the video if you do enjoy it. And yeah, let's jump into this. So yesterday I uploaded a story time about my ex-girlfriend's mom, and it got me thinking about my exes. And I remembered this one story time about a certain ex of mine from 2 years ago, and how I caught her stealing from me, and it was just the biggest, most dramatic situation ever. There was a bunch of crying and a bunch of stuff like that. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this story time. Leave a like on the video if you do, and let's jump right into today's story time. So this story time takes place 2 years ago, okay? This all starts off as a normal day. And I had just started dating this girl, okay? I'd been dating her for like 2 weeks. Things were going great the first 2 weeks, but I hadn't been dating her long enough to really know if I could trust her fully or not. She seemed really cool, like she seemed awesome, but it'd only been 2 weeks, so I didn't know her that well yet. And on any given day, it could just completely 180, and she could be the most evil person in the world and just like have the worst intentions. But I didn't know yet. But so far, the first 2 weeks were really cool. She was a really chill girl, and I was excited to see where the relationship would go. So this all starts off as a normal morning. I wake up. I actually had plans with her this day. We were going to go get dinner together, go mini golfing, and then go see a movie. So it was going to be a really eventful night, and I can't lie, I was pretty excited because I may or may not be the mini golf champion. I'm just kidding, I'm not that good at it. But to say the least, I definitely beat her in mini golf on this night. So yeah, date night completely started off normal. She picked me up, we had food, we went mini golfing. It was a really awesome night. And then came time to go see the movie. It was a really awesome movie. We were in the theater for like 2 hours. And then after that, we left and went back to my house, and she was planning on staying the night. And yeah, so far it was a really perfect night. I was just thinking to myself, like, wow, this is a really cool girl. Like, I'm actually really excited to see where this relationship is going to go. Like, this is a great night. I'm having a lot of fun. Yeah, sadly, things had to take a big, fat, fucking nosedive, okay, right into the ground, because date night was quickly dismantled, alright? So after we get done with our date night, we go back to my house, and we lay in my bed and watch Netflix for like 2 hours, and I end up getting super tired, and I end up falling asleep first, which, you know me by now, in these story times, if I fall asleep first, that is like the number one indicator that something bad's probably about to happen. Like, in most situations with me, if I fall asleep first, it means I'm about to get either pranked or something bad's probably gonna happen. In this situation, something bad was gonna happen, okay? So yeah, I fell asleep first watching Netflix with her, real peacefully. I had a nice like hour sleep, and then all of a sudden I wake up to the sound of shuffling coming from the room across the hallway from my room. And she's not in the bed. So I lean over and I turn the light on next to the bed, and she's not in the room whatsoever. So I lay back and I think to myself, like, okay, I heard walking coming from outside the door. She's definitely just in the bathroom or something. I'll lay here and wait for her to get back. So I'm just laying in my room. I keep hearing walking around outside my room, and she's not coming back. And I lay there for like 5 minutes, and she's still not back. So I'm really confused. I'm like, okay, I'll give it 2 more minutes, and if she's not back by then, I'll go out there and I'll look for her. So I lay there for 2 more minutes, and sure enough, she doesn't come back, but I keep hearing walking outside my door. And it's a really strange walking pattern. It sounds like somebody's walking all through my hallway to my front door, and then walking back from my front door through my hallway. Just over and over again in the same pattern, just back and forth, through the hallway. And I live alone, so there's either 2 scenarios that could come out of this. 1, my house is haunted and there's a ghost walking up and down my hallways, and the ghost already got my girlfriend. Or 2, my girlfriend's walking back and forth through the hallways. Now, me being super curious and wanting to find out what's going on, I get up out of bed. I was super tired. I rub my eyes. I turn on this other light in my room. I put on my shirt and I walk over to my door and I open the door, and I immediately see my girlfriend standing in my hallway, looking at me with the most scared look on her face, like a deer in headlights, like I just caught her doing something really bad. Now, I'm really confused. I'm like, why does she look like that? So I ask her, I'm like, hey, what's up? Like, you don't look right. And she goes, I'm just having a lot of anxiety right now. I'm like, oh, what's going on? Why do you have anxiety? She's like, I don't know. I woke up. I couldn't get back to sleep. So I was just, doing laps. And I was like, you were doing laps? And I looked down and I realized that she's wearing her shoes. She has her shoes on in the house, and she's like dressed and ready to go. So I'm like, why do you look like you're about to leave? Like, why do you have your shoes on? And she goes, I don't know. I just thought about going outside for a walk. And I'm like, oh, well, like, if you want to go, like, I'll go with you. She goes, oh, that'd be great. And I'm like, all right, cool. Let me grab my stuff. And by stuff, I meant get my hoodie and put pants on, because I was not in proper walking outside attire. So I walk back into my room, I throw a hoodie on, I throw pants on, and right after I do that, I hear footsteps in my hallway again, but this time, they're really fast footsteps. Like, she's fast walking towards the front door. So I open the door and I walk over there, and she's opening my front door and leaving. And I'm like, hey, where are you going? She's like, I'm just going to go for a walk. And I was like, okay, well, give me 1 second. Like, I'm pretty much ready. I just need to put my shoes on. And she goes, okay. And all of a sudden, she just bursts into tears. Like, completely just bursts out crying into tears right in front of me. Like, hysterically crying. And I'm like, yo, what's going on? And she's like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I can't do it. And I was like, you can't do what? And she's like, just me and you. I can't do it. And I'm like, okay, like, it's fine. It's totally fine. Like, we don't have to date. Like, it's totally good. And I'm thinking to myself, like, Jesus, am I that bad to date that I bring girls to tears? And she's like, it's not you, it's me. And I'm like, okay, it's totally fine. And she turns around and runs out my front door towards her car. But when she opened the front door, I immediately realized something on my front porch. So when my front door opened, I can see a giant TV on my porch, and it's my TV from my living room. So I immediately run out onto my porch, and there is a stack of my things, like a TV, my laptop, a monitor from my computer, another laptop that belongs to my friend that he left at my house, just stacked up on my front porch, ready to go, like in a pile. And I see her running to her car, and I'm like, yo! And she turns around, she's like, what? I'm like, what is all this stuff doing out here? And she goes, fine, you caught me. And she's just crying hysterically. And I'm like, yo, were you really just robbing me in my sleep? And she starts crying even more. She's like, I have a problem, I know, like, I have a problem. I'm like, yeah, you do. You don't rob your boyfriend in his sleep. That's not very nice of you. And then she just said something evil. She was like, yep, you're right, you weren't my boyfriend. You were just someone I was using for free things. And I could not believe what I just heard. I was just thinking in my head, like, yo, this girl is so salty that I beat her at mini golf. I'm just kidding. That's not what I thought at all. But I was definitely shocked to hear that. So I was like, listen, let me see what's in your car right now. And she goes, fine. And she opens up the back door, and I run over there, and I take a look inside, and I check through the back, and I check through the front, and I check her trunk, and she had nothing else of mine in her car. It was all on the porch, ready to get loaded into her car. That's why she had her shoes on. She was about to load my things into her car, and then just drive off and steal a bunch of stuff from my house. So I tell her, I'm like, you're really lucky that none of this stuff was in your car yet, because if it was in your car, I'd call the cops and get you arrested right here and right now. And she was like, all right, I'm sorry. And I was like, nah, don't try and play that bullshit card. Like, you're not sorry. And she just gives me this evil smile, like this super diabolical smile. And she goes, but I am sorry, though. And I was like, it doesn't seem like you're sorry right now. Like, you're literally smirking at me while you say that. And she smiles even more after that. And I was like, yo, like, this is enough. Like, just get in your car, leave right now. Like, if you're not out of here in the next 5 seconds, I'm calling the police. And she immediately jumps in her driver's seat, shuts the door, turns the car on, and proceeds to back out of my driveway. And I just think to myself, like, okay, that wasn't weird at all. And yeah, after that, I proceeded to have a nice normal night by myself. I loaded my things back into my house where they belonged. I locked all of my doors. And yeah, to say the least, I did not trust her anywhere near my house ever again. And let's just say I had some trust issues after that, because it's not every day that you wake up in the middle of the night to think that your house is haunted, only to open your bedroom door and find out that your girlfriend is robbing you. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much into the story time. I hope you guys enjoyed this story time. Moral of the story is don't steal from people. It's not a good thing to do, ever. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this story time. If you did, please leave a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it. Feel free to leave your story times in the comments down below, and subscribe if you're new. I'll see you all later. Peace.